Hello and welcome to episode 14 of Bodied, the Cloud9 Fancast. Today we'll be discussing all the results of the quarterfinals bracket stage, our opinions on the future of the team, as well as a sneak preview for what we'll be trying to do with the podcast going forward. I'm your host Havokpus, and today I'm joined by
Frozencreek. It's just me again this week.
the dynamic duo.
Happy to be here. How was your weekend?
It was pretty good. Not much went on. How about yours?
I'm only gonna say that the saving grace of the weekend was it was the Detroit Lions, so I don't really want to talk about it too much.
Sports.
Yeah, there's always too much going on in the fall to enjoy it.
Yeah, that's usually when everyone's doing stuff.
Well,
But,
it's
what?
different if you're an Alabama fan because then you just don't lose.
Oh, roll tide. I know, right? We're just like, we're the Korea of college football. No one can beat us or catch up to us.
Yeah, and I support the Lions, the Challenger Series of America team.
They'll get there someday. Maybe.
Well, they haven't yet, so I think at this point it's more impressive that they haven't won a playoff game since I was born than if they had won a playoff game. But that's
Yeah.
beside the point. I was born days after their last a playoff win, so and I'm 24.
All right. Well, the
I'm done talking about that.
quarterfinals. The quarterfinals was this past week, and some pretty interesting things happened. None of the games were fairly close. You had a lot of 3-0s and 3-1s going around, which was pretty anticlimactic.
Yeah, and it was Korea winning it all again.
Yeah, so maybe the gap not closing so much, more just like it's maybe moves an inch, maybe two.
I mean, I don't want to say it's not closing, just the Korean teams are really good, but it seems like the gap between all the other divisions is closing just a little bit.
Yeah. Excluding Koreans, it seems like everyone can kind of be put on equal footing.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see Cloud9 against RNG or EDG.
Yeah, I think we would have at least gone even. I know people were kind of hyping up H2K versus Cloud9. That would have been a pretty interesting matchup as well.
Yeah, that would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think H2K has a really strong bot lane, and Jensen versus Ryu would have been a really cool matchup.
And Impact against Odoamne.
Yeah, I mean, H2K is basically European Cloud9. So,
Just with way less memes.
yeah, with way less memes. But I
But
mean, they
compared to
technically
Gibbons
are
Caitlyn.
European Cloud9 because
Oh, yeah,
I
that
think
is
they
true.
went through the Challenger Series.
That is true.
Yeah, I think they were Cloud9 Eclipse. Is that what their name was before they got bought?
I wasn't in the scene back then.
I think it was Cloud9 Eclipse, and most of the roster that was on it is on H2K now. So it's
All right.
basically European Cloud9. So we can all go for them.
Okay, well, if you're wrong, I hope everyone flames you in the comments.
I'm
No
pretty
offense.
sure, like 80% sure, 85% at most.
Okay, fair enough, I believe you.
But
So,
yeah,
were there any surprises in the quarterfinals?
not really. I wouldn't say. I think maybe that one game EDG took off of rocks with Fervor of Battle Rumble. That was pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, I saw the mid part of that. I didn't get to watch any of the other games except H2K, excuse me, H2K and Elvis Knox, which I did kind of glimpse at. But once I saw H2K kind of clapping them, I just gave up and started playing League myself.
Yeah, I was hoping that match would have been closer, considering Albus Knox looked pretty, like a pretty strong opponent actually coming out of the group stage, but H2K just manhandled them. Like, it wasn't even like a fun match. It was just, oh, Odoamne got Jace. Oh, he's killing everybody. Like why
Yeah,
not just ban the Jace, dude?
yeah, I don't know why
What's the
they didn't ban
problem?
him. He was feted in every game. Like you can
Yeah,
ban him,
yeah.
you
Like
can
Jankos
leave.
would just gank top a couple of times. Oda would have like 4 kills at around like 10 minutes, push in to get the tower, and then from there it was just a big snowball fiasco.
Yeah, and I just gave up at that point. I was like, yeah, this just isn't fun. I'll go and get promoted and at least spend some time doing something fun rather than watching Elvis Knox get clapped.
Yeah, it wasn't the funnest match to see. But what do you think about the regions as a whole? Like China and North America both kind of lost out from advancing to semifinals. Is there anything that we can do to like close this gap with the Koreans? Is it like a structural thing? Is it how we practice? What are the things that we could really do to kind of improve our team's chances at performing better internationally? I think we do need more international tournaments because with more international tournaments we can all just kind of get used to how everyone plays more and more, and I think that would just help immensely.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think that the top two or three teams playing in all the in international tournaments really helps with the competition at all. Because we still have Echo Fox at the bottom, who's pretty bad this past year. So I don't know what is the best way to make the gap close. I think that Cloud9 and TSM are working in the right direction with Reaper as the coach of Cloud9. I think that he really helps them step forward and take a more controlled look at the game and not focus solely on high. While TSM practiced a lot and that their macro game was good in a Western sense, but they kind of just didn't pull through in the end. And maybe it was due to too much pressure from being NA's not number one hope or whatever. But I don't think more practice is the answer. I think it's smarter practice and better practice.
Yeah, I think there was something that we were talking about. Not when recording, but when we were talking about, you mentioned that Korean teams would have like a practice squad that they would actually practice working around drafts that they would see in scrims, and scrims was just mostly there to kind of see how the enemy would play. And so they kind of had like two different types of practices in a sense. And I think that's kind of a smart way to do it. I don't think that a lot of North American teams really have that kind of infrastructure set up yet to where they can have like a practice squad, where the team could practice in-house on specific things and stuff like that. So I think that's one thing that we could certainly work on.
Well, they were talking. Well, Cloud9 had Cloud9 Challenger last year, and when all that drama like ignited and blew a hole through the universe, but they talked about that they had like another third team in-house to practice. Like, although it's not like playing in a scrim, but you can spend hours practicing with them. Like, you could be like, I need you to deny Baron Vision for this long before you guys can take it, or if they ever see Baron, then you have to restart and set everything back up again. Like there's certain drills you can run around the map to help like a macro game and help with stuff like that. I mean, when I was in basketball, like we didn't. Oh, I don't know where I was going with that point, but when I was in basketball, like we would have plays, and when we were practicing and scrimmaging, like we always ran those plays, even if we had to like alternate around the court somehow, if something got switched up, like we would still do it in practice all of the time. So as once we came to the game, like we could run them without worrying too much, and if something happened, we could make a shot, we could do something from there. But it was all based around those plays, and I think that there isn't enough done to help the teams practice. And I think that that's one of the good things that Koreans do, and maybe they just have better practice squads, and maybe that also helps them. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that they kind of have the benefit that I think for their culture, they were ahead of the curve on esports. So they were able to kind of establish like, okay, well, here's how the infrastructure should work, and here's how teams and everything should kind of go. So now they have everything kind of all set up, and they know exactly what they need. While I think other regions like North America and Europe are kind of still catching up and trying to figure out like, well, what all do we need in order to really be a big top team? And I think that's kind of a push and pull type thing. So
Excuse me. And yeah, like that stuff doesn't happen overnight. Like if you watch the World Cup, there's only been like 6 or 7 countries in like 100 years who have won the World Cup. So it takes time for these gaps to close, and it doesn't happen overnight. But it's good to see that there's goals being set to meet these goals, and it was good to see a North American team in the finals at MSI. But I think we talked a little bit about this more than we wanted to. So between NA and EU, do we think that EU is better because they have a team in the semifinals, or no?
um, that's a good question. It's hard to say. EU and NA, I think both have really similar play styles. I think maybe EU does things a little differently, but for the most part, they play pretty similarly. Um, yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up. It's kind of a tug of war, and sometimes one region will be on top for a little while, and then the other will kind of go like, oh, well, we do this now, and then it's like, oh, well, the other one's stronger. So I think comparatively, like overall, I think we're about the same.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it'd be interesting if they did in college basketball. They do this Big Ten. What's the other conference? The one with Duke, UNC, ACC challenge, and like the top team for me, or like they go down a list, and like the top two teams play, and then the second top two teams play, and then the third top two teams play. I think that'd be cool to see between NA and EU, to see how like teams like Echo Fox matched up with like a Rocket or something.
Oh yeah, I'd watch that. That'd be a really really smart thing to have.
Yeah, and I mean, is it gonna happen? No. But I think that's a better indication of where the quality is at than just TSM versus G2, and then H2K versus Cloud9, and then Splice versus CLG or Immortals.
More like G04, am I right? Okay. Okay. But yeah, let's move on specifically to the Cloud9 Samsung game, because that's our match of the week. What did you think about this match overall, Frozen? How do you feel?
I thought Samsung was way too strong. Yeah, they were just like a juggernaut, just ready to wreck anyone who stepped in their path. I honestly don't think H2K has a chance against them either. Like you saw them control Vision in River throughout like the entire game, and I mean Cloud9 did put up a couple good fights. Like in game one, they had a couple things in Tribush where they set up a play, and the guy just got out by 100 health, and lo and behold, we got whooped. But if those two plays like end up working out, like that could have been a completely different game. Not saying that Cloud9 was going to win it, but it would have been a lot more exciting than seeing what was it, like a 26-minute win or something like that.
Yeah, I think the thing that surprised me most about Samsung is that no matter where the gold lead is, they're always playing like super aggressively. Like in games 2 and 3, I think Cloud9 got a small gold lead in the early games, but Samsung, regardless of where the gold was at or how many kills they were down or anything, they would continue to just be really aggressive with their vision, really aggressive with the types of plays they were making, and it always paid off. I think in an interview, Smoothie said that Samsung is a team that just would always punish them, and they're not used to playing against teams that know how to punish you super hard. So whenever they made a mistake, if they were playing like against a lesser team, it might not have mattered as much. But playing against them, if they made like one or two mistakes, the game was pretty much done.
Yeah, like in game two, They kept it pretty even until the Kennen ultimate, which blew everyone up, and then you saw them making adjustments, like trying to keep Vision out of the jungle, but then uh, Samsung was just like, oh well, mid's open, so we'll just walk right down there and get a free inhibitor turret, and that was one thing that we also saw. TSM do was not giving objectives away for free, and Cloud9 really suffered from that last week, and it's something that they've suffered from before against top teams. So I'm hoping that they watch the tape and see like where they made a bunch of mistakes from.
Yeah, I think our bot lane is probably the weakest of the matchups in this uh, in this series. I think mostly because Smoothie's fairly is pretty new to the international competition, and I think maybe his inexperience was kind of exposed against Samsung's bot lane. I think Jensen played pretty well against Crown. I think most of the time he was winning his lane, wasn't he?
Jensen, I thought he was like the only one I think who can walk away and say like I didn't do that bad today. Well, yeah, like I didn't make that many mistakes. The Medios is a close second, but I
Yeah,
thought that Jensen looked did really good. He got that sweet solo kill.
yeah. He played both sides of the Cassio Oriana matchup, and I think he's pretty experienced with both of those champions. So he was really able to exploit all the tiny things that you need to kind of know about in those kind of skill matchups. So he played that really well. Impact had a kind of rough game on Rumble. I really don't think Rumble is the best champion for him, just
Well, we
considering how the
knew that like a month ago too. I was hoping he'd bring it out, but he never looked good on it except that double kill he got. Who was it against? Maybe Flash Wolves in the group stage or Ime in the group stage. I'm not sure which one.
who Impact or Jensen.
Impact got that double kill on
Oh
Rek'Sai
right,
and
yeah. Okay,
Kennen.
yeah. You
Yeah,
just said he, so I was confused
oh,
on
sorry. Yeah, Impact.
which we were attaching that subject to.
Yeah, and he never looked that good on Rumble, so like it wasn't that surprising. Like, but it's whatever.
His Jace looked really good though. He played Jace fairly well.
He played it well, but he still got wrecked up by Kuve in all three games.
Yeah, I think this meta really shifted more attention over to the top lane, and for most of the season, or at least in the summer split, Cloud9 has mostly been focusing on mid and bottom and letting Impact just kind of fare for himself. And now that top lane is getting more attention again, we're kind of having to like shift our jungle strategy, and I don't think we're having trouble like keeping up with that. And sometimes Impact just has a bad time, and we can't help him.
Yeah, and I don't think he helped himself all that much. And even when he did like start to do something, well, like he had a really good teleport all set up, and then Kuve just flashes in and poppies him into like a wall and wrecks him and destroys him. But I thought he did play that matchup not that well, considering how much of a lane bully Jace can be onto a poppy. But there's a lot there for him to learn, and it was good to see him go against someone in top form to kind of like remind us that as good as he is, he still got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, hopefully he can continue to improve and just us as a whole improve. I'd really like to see the squad stick together, and we're going to talk about that later on in the show. I don't want to tear too much away from the subject at hand. So, do you think there's anything we could have done differently, or were we kind of doomed from the very start going into this game?
I mean, we came in, I think, with a handicap. Like, all the odds were against us, which I mean is fine, and they had to have a really good match to win it even like a game. But there were just a lot of like dumb mistakes, like Sneaky walking up on Jhin to auto attack. I think it was a Caitlyn with I think Zyra in the bush. Just like, what are you doing? Like, there were a lot of just stupid mistakes, and I think that those might have just been nerves, but I also think that there was a lot to learn from our match against Samsung. Like I think that Samsung dominated like so well that there's so much to watch and learn from like setting up plays and how to trade objectives well.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. They really know how to move around their map, and I think that that could be really beneficial to at least maybe pick that apart and try to figure out, you know, how can we play like that?
And I think it all comes down to vision. Like I think it was in game one or game two. Like uh, Karma backed came through the bot side jungle, put three wards, one right by Raptors, one by Red Buff, and one by Krugs, and then she backed again, and then Medios is found out for three minutes. So like it just having vision around the map or clearing that vision, it would have helped a lot.
Yeah, yeah, their vision was really strong. I think that that one in particular just kind of shows like, oh man, they really know where to place their wards and everything, because it was in a, I think it was a pretty much like a straight line straight through the red side jungle. So you could pretty much see everything that happens in that side of the map.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think that it does start with a vision, and that there is a lot to work on there. So, and I think that Samsung's vision game was like way better than anything that we've seen so far. So that was nice.
Yeah. Can you, can you think of anything else to say? It's kind of hard to talk about what really went on when a team loses. You can pick apart like, well, they did this wrong, they did this wrong, they maybe did this right, but going forward, it's hard to like kind of hype up the team and kind of discuss like, oh well, this match, because especially in this fashion where just each game was just a pretty oppressive loss. It's kind of hard to analyze exactly how do we move forward.
Yeah, but I also think it's important to keep like a perspective, like the scope of things. Like if you would have told me at the beginning of the split that we were going to lose high, we were going to have impact, we were going to have two supports through half the year and still make worlds and be Anna's last hope in quarterfinals, like I would have taken that in any day of the week. So it was good to be there. I mean, getting beat that badly kind of sucked, and it shouldn't have happened. But in the grand scheme of things, I think that Cloud9 achieved all of their goals, and I think that it is promising going forward if like the team stays together and can keep their spirits up to get better.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, you've seen all the promos on the Genesis episodes of them just saying we're gonna go to Worlds this year, and they did. I mean, that was their one promise. The fact that they got to quarterfinals was just going a step further than that. But speaking of going forward with the team, uh, Reapered has confirmed on his Twitter that he will be returning to coach next season, barring that Jack doesn't fire him, which I don't think he would.
I don't think that there's any reason to. I mean, he joined the Cloud9 team. He's now a part of like the meme team too. Like he's posting stupid memes, and he seems to be getting along with all the players well too.
Yeah, and I mean, just from like a business standpoint, Reaper came in, he got these 5 players who he basically said were glorified solo queue players, sort of taught them how to play as a team, and then took them to Worlds. That's a pretty big accomplishment to do well in one split.
Yeah, I think that he did a really good job. Like again, like if you would have told me that though we had a new coach, we'd be working with two supports and a new top laner at the beginning of the split, and we'd still make quarterfinals. Like I would have taken my shirt off and ran around the house a couple times. So I think it's really good to see Reaper coming back. Like he's done so much for this team, and obviously there's a lot more work to go. Like he's worked with some really good teams, so I'm hoping to see some more memes and a better team.
Yeah, yeah, me too. In terms of the roster, I don't think there's personally any need to kind of make changes. You have Impact, who's a strong independent later. You have Vinios, who's his conservative playstyle, I think fits the team fairly well because we can gain advantages in the early game through that and then try to grow them out from there. That's still an issue we're working on, but I think the fact that we can get those advantages early is a good indication of our team play. Jensen is the top 2 mid laner in his region, which is great. Sneaky usually plays fairly consistently with his mechanics and everything, and Smoothie has so much room to grow, and he has the potential to be the best support player in North America. And he's pretty much high 2.0, so at least from my perspective and how I'm looking at it, I don't think they really need to make changes. What do you think?
I don't think there's any reason to change anything at all. Like I thought that there was a lot of growth at the split, and I think switching someone else in who's not like a tier above someone else is kind of just a downgrade. Like, oh, we're not going to bring in Duke, we're not going to bring in Smeb, we're not going to bring in Kuve or something. So I don't think there's any reason to switch out Impact, which is like the only one, I guess, because he's a foreign import, and I don't think we're going to find anyone better than Jensen. And NA talent wise, like I wouldn't be happy with anyone else at ADC, support, or jungle. Like the only thing I could see happening and me being okay with it is contracts coming in jungling sometime, but I think he's going away.
Yeah, the thing about contracts is, I believe what I think High mentioned this or someone mentioned this. I can't remember, but I think it's up to how Cloud9 negotiates the contract for the purchasing of the LCS spot, and they can kind of switch it around to where like the contract is, all right, so you get this spot plus all the players minus High because he retired, or you can get balls and elimination while we keep contracts in all tech because their contracts are different or something. So we'll have to wait and see come closer to the spring 2017 split to see just exactly what would happen. I think contracts would be a good addition to sub in every once in a while because he's 17, he's a rookie player, so he has a lot of room to grow and really understand more how to play on a team and play at a really high professional level. And I think he can really benefit from Rupert's coaching.
Yeah, and I think Meteos has kind of grown to like a mentor type of a player too. So like it would be nice to have him in house, although he wouldn't start every game, which he probably wants to do now that he probably can because he's really good. But dreaming wise, I wish that we could like keep his contract, but like loan him out a year or something to like a different team, like Echo Fox or something, and then he could play with Echo Fox for the year, then come back to Cloud9 after
I can see that
Meteos
as well.
it gets old. To like that, yeah, that'd be ideal. Because it might be like our last year next year with Sneaky and Meteos.
Yeah, I know Medios is he had a tweet I think yesterday saying that he was taking some time off to kind of get his head sorted out. So that might hint at him retiring for good because he's kind of burnt out with the professional scene and having to deal with public criticism. Sneaky's kind of old. I think he's around my age. I'm like 24, and I think he's like 23.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not sure like the average age on the higher end for LCS players, but I think at a certain point, he might just get kind of tired of playing professionally. But he doesn't show it. He seems to genuinely like to play professionally and want to continue to do it and try to get as good as he can be. So I don't see him leaving, at least for another year or so. Impact might leave just because he is kind of old as well, but considering Cloud9 brought him to Worlds, and that's the first time he's been to Worlds since Season 3, and we have Reapered, I don't think he would retire so quickly.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anyone who can realistically pick off any of our players to to other squad. I mean, maybe Impact going to like a different region, but I think that Cloud9's the best place for all these players currently, and I would like to see them try and come up with a solution moving forward, like maybe have Alltech on call or be like a sub, and he could come in and play like a game two against like the bottom tier teams when we're most likely going to win. Like I know Alltech's not like super young, but
He is
it
pretty
wouldn't
good.
hurt. Yeah, and like he played pretty good for the a challenger team.
Yeah. I also saw him play a game as ADC Nidalee because it was him, Faker, and Skara all got matched together.
Oh
And it was
god.
this really weird draft, and he played ADC Nidalee, and they won, which was
I
pretty
missed.
funny.
Yeah, did he build a rune and Hurricane?
No, he went like Triforce into something else.
It's like a
Oh,
legitimate
he
build.
fed early game too. He was not doing that great.
Why? I would assume not. But or yeah, that seems like a really crappy ADC. Like the worst like possible ADC pretty
Yeah, it's
much.
like Ezreal, but like super aggressive, but not with any of the benefits of Ezreal.
Yeah, I wonder how that would work. I kind of want to try it out in like a custom game sometime.
Yeah, if you could get one foreign player to replace either Impact or Jensen, because those are the only two import slots we can really replace. Would you try to pick up anything? Maybe someone from EU to kind of take Jensen's place. Maybe someone from Korea, since Reaper has a pretty prestigious history. Maybe get someone from there.
I don't think there's anyone who'd be willing to come and would actually be like an immediate upgrade on either of them. Because like we're not
C9
gonna get
someday.
Faker.
That would be cool.
Yeah, like we're not gonna get Faker. We're not gonna get Smeb. We're not gonna get like any of these high class players. And I think Jensen showed his nervousness on the stage, but I think that's fixable by next year. And I don't think there's any EU mid laner who is better than him. So I don't think there's any reason to give out Jensen. I mean, Impact, I don't even think so either. It's not like we're gonna get Kuve or something.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think we need to replace anybody. I don't think there would be any reason to. That was just more of a hypothetical to fill time. But
Yeah, like I said, contracts would be like the only person I'd be cool with.
maybe no, GBM doesn't have residency, so we can't have
Oh, please
GBM in
no.
jungle. He did say though that he wanted to jungle with Cloud9 because him and Jensen are pals, and he said that he could really open Jensen up to get like a lot of leads and stuff.
Oh yeah, you did say that. I mean,
It kind of got
what?
me jazzed for it.
Jensen's what 2 years from being NA
Yes, because they
citizenry or
changed the
whatever.
residency rule. Yeah, they changed the residency rule for now. Instead of being 2 years in a region, you have to be 4 years. So Jensen and Impact would need to stay here 2 more years in order to become NA residents.
Okay, so then, I mean, I'd take back Rush, but we'd have to sacrifice something there too.
Yeah, I miss the kind boy. I hope he does get on a LCK team. He totally deserves it.
Yeah, I can't wait till rosters open up and we can find out where he's going. And I hope that he can keep streaming on Twitch because I know one time he mentioned maybe not being able to stream on Twitch if the team he goes to is Izubu. That's the other one,
Yeah, yeah. That's
which would be
the
sad because I watch him like every night. When I go to bed, I watch him feed on like random champs.
yeah. He's super entertaining.
I don't think I have anything else to add about Cloud9 going forward at the moment.
Me either. So let's move on to talking a bit about the future for this fan cast. So this is the off season. So probably expect shorter, less frequent episodes. I think after this one, we're going to be moving to every other week. That way we can kind of build up material and think about what we're going to do for the next episode. But it'll basically be, for this show in particular, be more generic League of Legends and LCS topics. Since this is a more League of Legends dedicated podcast.
Yeah, and I think we're looking to do a little bit more content too, like more than just like a podcast. Because I know not everyone loves podcasts like I do. So I think we're trying to get into more some written content, maybe do some YouTube videos like VOD reviews, and look more in depth into particular games. Like we could look into like the Samsung game and stuff. Like that'd be cool. And we also want to get into like shoutcasting live events. We have a guy on our team right now who did like a Twitch watch party for the Cloud9 Samsung match. I didn't get a chance to listen to it, but I heard that he's pretty good.
Yeah, shoutcasting games would be something that would be pretty fun. I actually really want to do that because that just kind of gets our face out there more. Also, I'll be trying to make some more written articles. I know a lot of people liked the Cloud9 Team Liquid article that I wrote. I can't remember which. I think it was the first Team Liquid game. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
that was a while ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago. But people seem to enjoy that, so I'll try to be writing more articles and stuff. Also, the other esports thing. Me and Frozen are going to be actually trying to recruit some members. Ideally, 3 to 4 people who are really interested in talking about CSGO, Smash, Overwatch, and the other esports that Cloud9 are involved in. Previous podcast experience would be greatly appreciated, but if we can't really find anyone and we're desperate, it won't really matter that much.
You have to have a mic and a way to talk with other people, and that's you have to have a mic. You have to be able to record. Those are like the bare minimum.
Yes. Yeah, just have Audacity and a microphone. Those are your bare requirements.
Yeah, we work on some pretty janky production. The headset I use is broken because my actual headset doesn't seem to work for the mic. So it seems I have 2 broken headsets for this.
Yeah, but hopefully we'll hear from some people, try to get some stuff in motion. I'd really like to start having the other podcasts record at least by like December. I think that would be at least a good milestone to try to achieve. So please hit us up either in the comments of the Reddit threads that we post, or through us directly through the bodied fancast@gmail.com email, or anything like that. Please let us know, because we really want to make that show happen to give other Cloud9 fans who don't necessarily watch League of Legends an outlet to hear some great back and forth as well.
Yeah, and we love all of the feedback. I know it's like every 3rd episode or so that it seems we get someone who comes in and like drops like a bomb, and we love it. So keep it up. Yeah.
So I think that'll about do us for this episode.
We did forget one thing.
Oh, what was that?
What are your predictions for semifinals? And I guess we won't be back before the finals. So who do you have going the rest of the way?
Oh, thank you. I completely forgotten all the hype of talking about rosters and the future of the show and stuff. I completely forgot about predictions. I think SKT is just going to go all the way with it, honestly. The way Samsung played against Cloud9, I think they're going to beat H2K. And I think SKT is just the more dominant team if you're going to go against SKT versus Rocks. So
that's a hype match, though. So
it will be exciting. Either way, that'll be a really great match to see. But I think it'll be SKT versus Samsung Galaxy in the finals. and we'll have SKT winning the whole thing once again.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I'm gonna throw in a wrench though because I'm gonna say that the LCK champions are gonna pull it out this year. Well, I think SKT is a safe bet. Our Rox has looked really good, and I think that they can take advantage of some of the less than excellent things that SKT has, like a mediocre jungler, and I think Smeb is just a god in top lane. So I'm gonna throw in wrench. I'm gonna give Rox Tigers over SKT, but then I think against Samsung it's kind of a toss up.
Yeah, I will agree that Rox kind of has an edge. I think that the casters were saying when Rox was playing against EDG that Rox's playstyle is not like any other Korean playstyle. Like they play very differently than other Korean teams, and I think that'll kind of throw SKT off a bit. So they could totally win. I'm hoping for at least a 5 game series just to see some really solid Korean League of Legends.
Yeah, me too. I'm hoping that it's as hype as it looks. For the schedule on those, it looks like we have Rox SKT on Friday, October 21st at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time because it's in New York City. And then Samsung versus H2K on Saturday, October 22nd at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then the final is Saturday, October 29th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, sounds good. So be sure to stay tuned. So we'll cover all of that in the next episode. So that should be a lot of fun.
Do you have a moment of the week this week?
Hmm. Uh, that's a good question. There were a lot of really good games that played. It's hard for me to pick one because the Samsung game, Samsung played out of their minds. H2K played out of their minds. Everyone was playing so well. It's hard to pick exactly one. I'm just gonna pick the quarterfinals in general. I think the quarterfinals was just a really fun uh for best of 5 series to watch. So I'm just gonna go with the whole quarterfinals in general.
All right, I think that's a cop out. So I'm gonna pick the Jetson solo kill as Oriana against Cassiopeia. It could have been a little bit cleaner, but he still killed him. He even read the flash and got the kill on Cassiopeia still. And it was also good to see Medius go off on Zac too. And
Oh
he
yeah,
was a boss in that game. I think he ended up doing the most damage through 3/4 of the game too. So
yeah.
that's my
He
long
was
moment
really
of the
trying to put
week.
pressure up. His Zac was really great that game. It's sad that he lost because that's like his pocket pick.
Yeah, and he played really well, but around the map we didn't do our thing. So it is what it is. I still think it was a successful year, and we get to play a Katowice, so we get to see him sooner than next split. What is it, in March or something? The splits are so
I
like
think
far
I think it
apart.
starts like I think it starts like sometime in February. I think that's when spring split starts.
It's so far away.
Yeah, I know.
It's over 4 months, but
Get ready for
okay.
a lot of circle jerking, everybody, because
More
it's gonna be
more
it's
than
gonna be a long road.
more than normal.
Exactly, more than normal. All right, well, thank you for listening to the 14th episode of Bodied, the Cloud9 Fancast. Feel free to tweet questions and feedback to @C9Bodied or email us at bodiedfancast@gmail.com. We'd really appreciate it. We haven't really gotten anything, so I would really like to see some questions pour in. I'd really love to do a Q&A episode. We might just make up questions. Who knows? But questions might be answered on the next podcast, so feel free to have those flood in. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
All right. I see